What am I gonna be when I grow up? And how am I gonna make my mark in history? And what are they gonna write about me when I'm gone? These are the questions that shape the way I think about what matters. But I have no guarantee of my next heartbeat, and my world's too big to make a name for myself. And what if no one wants to read about me when I'm gone? It seems to me that right now's the only moment that matters.
Well, welcome. I'm Ray.
And I'm Stefan.
And you're on at the table. We're at some of you folks' favorite place on earth. We're in the middle of UNC Chapel Hill.
And you picked a blue shirt right in between the two blues.
Right between the two. That's right. We're talking about comparison and kindness.
Yeah.
And those two can affect one another fairly significantly.
Yeah.
And so we hope we can help you with that a little bit as we help ourselves.
Yeah.
So we're going to walk a little bit and talk a little bit, and hopefully this coming Sunday, whichever service you are a part of, 9 o'clock or 11, if you're at Front Street in Burlington, you'll find out a little bit of something that'll be helpful for our personal lives,
Yeah.
which then affects all those around us.
Oh,
quite
100%.
literally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just go ahead and get this in your head that one of the things we're working with is that Jesus is wanting to change you from the inside out.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a foreshadowing to our conversation. But hey, I have who is our Gemma?
This is Gemma back
Where'd
here.
you go? We need you to lead the way.
They saw her last week and didn't know who she was.
All right, so Gemma's going to lead our path. We're going to follow her and walk through a little bit of construction. And so come along for the ride. Let's see
By
where
the
we go.
way, if you checked out last week's video,
Following you.
saw a young little person screaming and yelling as she was snow tubing.
Yeah.
Well, that was Gemma. So, and she's our navigator, if you get that. So,
I want to say, first of all, that comparison, like many things that we talk about that are difficult for us in many stages of life, aren't necessarily bad.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if I'm comparing somebody's life and the way they live and their attitude and their character, and you're like, you know, I really like them,
Yeah.
and I like who they are and how they are. I want to learn about that.
Well, let's give an even a more ubiquitous example.
All right.
You go to a brand new coffee shop, like Joe Van
Like
Gogh
we
up
just
here.
did, yes.
You go to a brand new one, and you don't know what to do. You
Right.
don't know how to order. You don't know where the menu is. You don't know do anything. And so what you'll do, most of us, is we'll kind of look around at the room, and we'll see how other people are ordering. We'll
Yes.
see how other people are behaving. Are they sitting down before they go and get their coffee?
Yes.
Are they going up to the bar and ordering? So we compare to see in new spaces how to behave.
That's where we do, you know, and I've got another one just like that.
What's that?
You go in the wine store.
Okay.
I'm a wine connoisseur.
Yeah?
I look for the space that has the least amount of wine on it.
Because
Because that means
that's the good wine.
that's what everybody's getting.
Everybody else is pulling.
So
from
everybody thinks I'm a wine connoisseur because I pick out the best wine.
that. There you go.
Yeah, so, you know, but you're right. That's kind of how we live life and go through life, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's how we learn to act in new spaces. It's how we maybe change or grow in ways, especially when we're younger, we're trying to figure out how the world works. We want to grow up to be like a certain person or to model some behaviors after somebody we really enjoy.
Yeah.
So we compare.
And nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
However,
wrong with that.
there can be some really negative consequences
Yeah.
to comparisons as
So
well.
we'll just be totally honest about it, is that, and you know this, and we all know this, is that comparison can get us in trouble because comparison can put us in a place where we are thinking poorly of ourselves or thinking too pridefully of ourselves as we compare ourselves to others.
So let's break that down. If I'm comparing myself to you, and for those who don't know, he has an unbelievable skill of memorization and knowing his sermons, his messages. He doesn't look at any notes. He just gets up there and talks. Well, I hate him for that because I've been at this for 35 years and I can't even say hello without a note. And so how he does that, I could beat myself up that 35 years and I still don't have that. Or, and this is what I prefer doing, what I do, thank God, is I'm like, way to go, Stefan. I'm glad for you. I'm all over that. I'm not even going to try to do that, but I am grateful that you can, and it serves you well.
Hold on, I got to do a quick parent note.
Oh.
Hey, Gemma, can you come over to the sidewalk, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so speaking of parent notes,
Yes.
all right, I'll give the other end of that.
All right.
Is that I, as a parent, compare myself to other parents.
Oh, wow.
And I do it all the time. Sierra and I both do it. But I'll tell you, not just do we think that other parents are doing a good job and we think, oh man, we should be doing that.
Yeah.
Every now and then we see a parent and we think, I don't know if they should have made that choice. I don't know if they should have said that or done that. And then we think really pridefully of ourselves.
I'd go one step further. I'm glad I'm not like them.
Oh,
I make another decision.
I wasn't going to say it, but
yeah, but that's
you're
just
right.
truth. I'm glad I'm not like them because I wouldn't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
And that's going to, whatever your thought process is. So the comparison can be deflating to self.
Yeah.
And at its worst place, be depressing.
Can be depressing
And put you in a bad place.
and can give you distance from relationship with other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the other part about the comparison is, if I feel like I'm a better parent than they are, it not only creates this false sense of pride, I would say a sinful pride in self,
Yeah.
but what is it doing to the other person? It's putting them down.
Let's stop and think about that for just a second because I'm curious about Jesus and the disciples and then their relationship with maybe the Pharisees around.
Okay.
You ever imagine Jesus and that time, that group of people dealing with comparison? Because I think it's easy enough for us to point to the Pharisees do a lot of comparison.
They do.
They compare themselves to the other major and minor prophets. They compare themselves to each other. And then they get in this little rut of comparing themselves to Jesus. Now, they think they're comparing Jesus to the world, but...
And comparing Jesus to the way they live.
And they're comparing
Yeah.
Jesus to the way they live. Yeah.
And they think they're doing it right.
They do. Yeah, absolutely. They're often very prideful of the way they behave and very looking down upon the way Jesus and the disciples are behaving.
However, Jesus doesn't take that and flog himself. He doesn't take that and really, and I mean, the truth of the matter is he really doesn't flog those who are thinking that way. He's telling them there's a better way to live. I want to instruct you and help you.
Yeah.
If you'll just listen.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because the truth about Jesus was humble. I mean, he didn't have to be, but he was.
Yeah.
He was a servant and he called us the same thing. But if I'm feeling like I'm superior, I'm better than, I'm the smartest person in the room, or I have my act together better than anybody else,
Yes.
it's hard for me to be a servant. It's hard for me to be humble.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to learn how to lovingly care for that person, no matter where they are,
Yeah.
you know? So that's the negative aspects of comparison.
In fact, I'm going to go a little bit towards the end of that. If we keep
All right.
comparing ourselves to others, if we keep comparing others to other people, we keep going down that comparison route,
Yeah.
then I think what we end up with is a story like we read this past week of a Jesus who's teaching in the synagogues, and then he comes to a place where the Pharisees and the teachers of the law show up and they bring a woman and they're accusing her of idolatry. And we talked about this a little bit on Sunday. It's this moment of public accusation and also public judgment. And that word, that J word, that judgment word, I think is where if we keep going off into comparison, we lose ourselves to it, then we get to a place of judgment. We are judging other people and we are judging ourselves.
Which is not kind.
It is not.
It's just the opposite. And I would say in our world, Christian world, it's sinful.
Yeah.
Now, you know, we're right. And then we told you we were earlier, we're at the medical school. And now we've walked a little way and we're really kind of in the middle of Chapel Hill, near Bell Tower, Macaulay Drive. Anybody knows this area, Moorhead Labs. And one reason that we thought about filming here
We could have done it at Duke, at NC State, Elon, anywhere.
We could have gone down to Auburn.
We could have gone to Auburn. We certainly could have been a little road trip, but we could have done that.
Any college, any university.
That's right.
Any
but,
institution.
We parents, we grandparents, maybe even we students sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
we get a little bit prideful
Mm-hmm.
when, I was accepted at, wherever it is. And that makes us sometimes feel a little bit superior, a little bit judgmental, like I'm at a better place.
Yeah.
That takes us down a wrong road.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can look at this with humility and say, wherever somebody got in, or if they choose not to go to a university, if they decide I'm going to be an electrician or an HVAC, our goal and our prayer should be, Lord, help each person find their way wherever they might be so that they can serve others. I mentioned the HVAC just briefly, just a brief story as we close.
Okay.
I had to have a new HVAC system installed at our old house in Wake County. And they came out. I got 3 bids. The person I chose, they were wonderful. And I got talking to the owner, and he had 10 trucks or something. And so his name was Jared. I said, Jared, so where did you learn to do this? He said, at Wake Tech. I said, oh, awesome for you.
Yeah.
He said, it's the most fulfilling thing. It was the most fun I ever had. And he said, my degree is in dance performance from Duke University. Here is a Duke grad in dance theater performance or something like that.
Yeah.
He and his wife love to dance, but he's out there doing HVAC. He went to Wake Tech after he got his degree to learn to do that. And he was the most humble, loving guy you'd ever want to meet. And I watched him interact with his guys that work for him.
Yeah.
And you could tell anything that he asked them to do, they would do, because it was just in his character and nature that he loved people, he loved helping people, and he was this to make a living but to serve others.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
In fact, it makes me think that we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, and we're not going to get to the whole conversation here with you, but if you come on Sunday, you'll get some of the rest of it, is that one of the quickest remedies of kindness, or one of the quickest remedies to comparison is kindness.
That's right.
And kindness to yourself.
Yeah, starting with kindness to yourself, because if I learn not to compare myself to somebody else, that I have to be like them, or I'm judging myself, that frees up space in my life and my soul to be kind to others.
Yeah.
And I am absolutely convinced until you learn to be kind to yourself, rather than judge yourself, put yourself down, ruin your self-esteem, it's very difficult for you to extend the kindness hand to others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that more this week. We're so glad you could join us at the table. Jim has got us going where we need to go. So Gemma has to lead the way. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us at the table.
Hey.
So come paint your pictures on the canvas in my